we're going to use this stream tonight to take a little bit of a closer look at the Socotra map, which has recently been added back to the random map 1v1 pool, because I have long had a certain animosity towards this map, and I want to take a look at a couple of players who know what they're doing, as compared to yours truly, who certainly most of the time does not know what he's doing. And I just want to see if watching them will illuminate me as to what is all the fuss regarding the Socotra map. So, without further ado, let's take a look at the players in question. We have Mountain here in the blue, and we've got Faith Sigma here in the red. I've just forwarded on a little bit past the initial start. Both players have lured their starting elephants and are up to 18 pop and 15 pop respectively for Faith Sigma and the Mountain. We can see here that Mountain, however, is just in the middle of moving some villagers forward on Faith Sigma. So we'll see how he deals with that. So without further ado, let's take a little looky-loo. So the villagers are launching an attack. And it's all bedlam at the moment as Faith Sigma rushes his villagers forward. So can it be? Did Mountain come all this way forward just to eat a little bit of zebra? Seems a little crazy. But it looks like it was just stealing a little bit of zebra, which is baffling because, as we can see here, Mountain has several rotting zebra carcasses at home that he could have been eating. So, definitely an interesting turn of events. Just for clarification here, both players here relatively evenly matched in terms of ELO, both just under 1400, or just under 1400 ELO with win records of 53% for Faith Sigma and 52% for Mountain. So we should be treated to a fairly even game. Both players obviously playing as the Mongols in what is a mirror match. Faith Sigma certainly going hard on his zebra there with his 16 villagers, repeat 16, possibly slightly more villagers than I necessarily would place on harvesting a single zebra. Faith Sigma now moving one militia over, take a little bit of a look at Faith Sigma's base, bearing in mind Mountain has lost his scout a little earlier in the match. So he will be doing a little bit of scouting with these militia. We can take a look at what he sees. He's going to do a little bit of aggro on those houses just to announce his presence to Faith Sigma, who does not seem to be very bothered. Faith Sigma going in for stone fairly early on. This could well be part of the meta, perhaps, for Socotra. I'm not sure. But it would make sense to me if going for stone early were part of the meta, given there is very little to divide the two players in terms of geographical features. We do see barely even any trees in the intervening zone between the two players. And we do have some villagers heading forward here from Faith Sigma, so we'll have to see what they're doing. Looks like Mountain is responding in kind, and it will be a mid-map villager brawl, which Faith Sigma is tentatively trying to micro, but as we know, it is quite difficult to micro these villagers in a straight fight. Of course, Mountain has now brought his militia back to assist, which has led to Faith Sigma withdrawing from his effort. No villagers lost on either side just yet, though. Archery range going up from Faith Sigma, who has beaten Mountain into the feudal age by a considerable amount, although naturally this has allowed Mountain to retake the lead in terms of number of villagers, although he was housed there for a fairly significant period while they were engaging in that mid map villager tussle. Always easy to get housed when one's attention is thus divided. So Mountain is now clicked up to the feudal age, and we'll see if things remain as close as they are. We've got a single archer here coming through from Faith Sigma, who's having a little bit of a trouble avoiding villager microing. He might get this. He's got one villager dead, so that's some kind of accomplishment at least with that little foray. I believe it is traditional, usually, to send more than a single archer against one's foe. But of course, it could have just been scouting as well, because I do believe Faith Sigma has now also lost his scout. So he is sending another archer, another lone archer here. And he has another archer on the way here. So this might be a slightly more successful raid if he can get those archers up in numbers. And he is queuing more archers at his archery range. Mountain, of course, just moved into the feudal age and has moved his villagers back to the rear of his base in a wise move to get them away from those archers. He is queuing more villagers now. Obviously, in the meantime, while he was aging up, Faith Sigma has taken a considerable economic lead in terms of villager population, 27 to 24 at the moment, although certainly not out of range yet. These archers will need to do some damage, he would hope, but Mountain has got a nice little line of houses here, along with his gold and these rear trees, which have him fairly well secured. His town centre covering the rest. And of course, the town centre outranging the archers considerably in this early game juncture. Um, Mountain going for his economic upgrades at the offset. More archers on the way from Faith Sigma. More villagers on the way from both players now. A watchtower preemptively going up from Mountain. An aggressive forward tower going up from Faith Sigma on a nice little hill. This tower might be denied here. So it looks like the tower will go up. The villagers will take refuge. And the archers will take position directly under it so as to avoid its fire, because obviously in the feudal age, Mountain does not have the luxury of murder holes, so they are quite safe where they are. But it will take them a fair amount of time to take that tower down without their upgrades. And it looks like Faith Sigma is not interested in upgrades. No blacksmith, repeat, no blacksmith. So meanwhile, Mountain manages to deny Faith Sigma another tower, although he does have two up already. And he has lost a villager or two in that effort. So realistically speaking, Mountain really needs to be building some skirmishers at this juncture. I do see he is researching wheelbarrow. Probably wouldn't be my priority at this present juncture, whilst my base is under siege by towers and archers. Probably would have saved those resources for some skirmishers. but perhaps he's got a play that we're not as yet aware of. You can see, by the way, certainly one of the features of Socotra, small tight bases uh, that you need to essentially cannibalize your own production buildings to build defenses out of. It does look like, to be fair, Faith Sigma has done a better job of this than Mountain, although that could simply be a function of Mountain falling under early attack and aggression a little bit before he was ready. So we can certainly say that Faith Sigma is putting Mountain under an enormous amount of pressure now. He is losing villagers left and right here at this point, and more watchtowers are being built. Now, he does have some skirmishers in play, however, and they are taking a belated but certainly satisfactory vengeance on Faith Sigma's northern unit of archers, which were threatening that northern watchtower that Mountain had erected. So I would probably ungarrison those villagers now, but he probably has bigger fish to fry. He is chasing these archers out of his base in the south, and he is building more skirmishers as well. Now, unfortunately, the amount of towers that are blockading him to the east is significant at this point, and there are archers garrisoned in at least two of those towers, archers and/or villagers. Um, and those towers themselves are now also defended by palisade walls, which will be problematic for Mountain to overcome while they're garrisoned. Let me just check actually and see precisely what is garrisoned in those. So it's actually villagers in this one over here and archers in the other two. And obviously they are within range of the town center now, which is taking fire. They do significantly outrange the town center at the moment by 8 range to 6. Meanwhile, Mountain Zone skirmishers have taken up a position on a hill here, which is a fairly advantageous position. But as we saw from earlier, Faith Sigma's town is a lot more sealed up than Mountain's. So this outlying villager is probably the only easy pickings they will find in this little foray. So meanwhile, we have a villager attack on this watchtower. This is not going to go well because unfortunately the base of this tower is in range of this tower. Now that said, they have chosen the right tower to attack because this tower has the majority of the archers, so it's the more dangerous and more threatening. And those skirmishers are coming back to try and take out those archers, although it looks like they will arrive a little bit too late to save the villagers who were attacking the tower. Meanwhile, we do have a couple of scouts joining those skirmishers, so this will probably be unfavorable for Faith Sigma. So, a fairly surprisingly robust defense of his base from Mountain. I tip my hat to him. He was under an enormous amount of pressure there, and he has turned it around here, albeit at a considerable economic price. Obviously, the villager gap has massively increased in this intervening time period with 38 villagers to 27. So a gap of about 10 villagers now between both players. And of course, Faith Sigma just about to enter the Castle Age now. With Mountain nowhere near the resources required to age up at this juncture. Faith Sigma straight into some more economic upgrades. He's also getting bloodlines, so we can probably expect to see some cavalry coming out here from Faith Sigma, which will be useful to ride down the skirmishers that have been thus far beating back his archers. Of course, Mountain does now have a little bit of breathing space to rebuild his economy. He is replacing his lost villagers. His town center is still under fire, although from an ungarrisoned tower at this point, so it's not too much of a threat. So Mountain has now managed to age up to the castle age, not too far actually behind Faith Sigma in terms of time. I'm fairly impressed with how fast he was able to click up, having been under such heavy attack um, for so long. Obviously, that 10 villager discrepancy still there, and Faith Sigma is now bringing villagers forward again in great numbers, and they will be joined this time by some knights. It's looking like some knights. So it's a castle drop. It's a castle drop, and obviously, Mountain's skirmishers are not equipped to deal with these knights, and they'll also take out a sizable amount of villagers as well. So those three knights are definitely earning their keep. The castle now has gone up right outside the town center, and it you have to feel it'll be very difficult. And indeed, there we go is the GG from Mountain. So with the castle drop having been successful, and really unfortunately, the timing there from Faith Sigma was fairly solid. Mountain only had his skirmishers, and there was nothing they could do against even that small amount of knights. So there was no way he was stopping that castle drop, and the positioning of it there is certainly game ending. And there we have the good game. So, in terms of the actual match itself and the purpose of why we were watching it, I'm not entirely sure I'm convinced that it's turned me around on Socotra. Maybe I need to watch a few more matches that are maybe a little bit closer. Um, but that's the nature of 1v1 matches. If there's a chink in the armor in the feudal age, it can often be enough to end the entire match before people get too hunkered in. I'm not sure if that's the purpose of Socotra. Is it a map just for who can rush the fastest, who can rush the best? Or is it meant to be a map where both players can get into a long and brutal close quarters Imperial Age slugfest? Thus far, I've only ever seen the former, but if the latter exists, I'd certainly like to witness that as well. We'll take a quick look at the scores before wrapping up, however. And as you can expect in these 1v1 games, most of these stars have gone, of course, to Faith Sigma for his impressive performance in terms of consistent early game aggression from the feudal age right in to the end of the game. Indeed, he did try and get his villagers forward as early as the Dark Age, although he was frustrated in that effort by Mountain at that juncture. Mountain unfortunately wasn't able to stop the tower drops in the feudal age, however, and I think that was the beginning of the end. Units killed, units lost, very respectable from both players. As I say, from Mountain, despite the fact that he was largely outnumbered for the majority of the game and that his troops were largely outclassed as well. When he got rid of those archers from his base, it was a fairly impressive fight back, doomed though it was. Um, Collected more food than Faith Sigma, so that'll be the only economic star he gets. As I said at the time, I think a very impressive feudal age time from Faith Sigma. Um, and obviously, Mountain would have joined in the Castle Age perhaps about 4 minutes or so after he was just on the cusp of reaching the Castle Age when he resigned. And in terms of society, there is the most telling statistic and probably why he resigned to the villager highs their incomparable Mountain 30 to Faith Sigma's 42. And he was definitely pulling out of reach towards the end there. And the timeline tells the same story. So that was our first little look at Socotra. Hasn't turned me around in terms of my opinion of the map yet. I may well be sorry when it's removed from the 1v1 pool in the end, but as of now, I certainly wouldn't shed any manly tears for that. But as I say, we will look at a few more matches in the coming weeks before the next pool release comes out. So we'll give it a fair showing. Repeat, a fair showing. In the meantime, thanks for watching, and we'll see you all again next time.